How much time had passed since then? It was so very quiet in that dark, dingy space. Only the snores of an unruly heiress could be heard. Holmes laid over her a small blanket he found amongst the storage before tending to the signal again. Aww, how sweet. This is interesting. It's like there's two narrators. There's Emily, and then there's somebody else, kind of as a onlooker, also narrating the story. Then, right as the stroke of midnight could be heard, Holmes heard a distinct shuffling from just outside the door. He kept it up for 3 hours. It's dedication.
Who's there?
The door clicked as it was unlocked. On the other side was the man he hoped to see.
Hello? Are you all right? I'm well. Is Emily with you? She's sleeping, but she is also well. Music to my ears! Nearly scared me to death when I realized you two were missing. But why were you even here? A tale for whilst we walk, my friend. We ought to carry Miss Whiteley out first. Huh, of course. You said she's sleeping, right? I'll prop her on my shoulders.
Watson slowly lifted the tiny young lady onto his back. Cute.
Have you been injured? Not in any way that was substantial. Miss Whiteley, however. Never mind. Come off it. If you're concerned, just say it.
Even whilst he carried Emily, Watson found no trouble playfully poking and prodding at his friend.
That's enough, Watson. You'll drop her.
Watson? Why are you here?
Did I wake you? Feeling alright?
I am. Then we were able to escape the storage room.
Yes, after I caught your signal. The light coming from a window was reflecting off one of the Academy's walls. Any later, though, and I wouldn't have noticed a thing. Look over there. See? The moon's about completely covered by clouds.
It was as he said. Only the tiniest sliver of moonlight could be seen. My vision was faint, but I could see the vague shape of a carriage not far ahead. Someone carried me. There was a way home. I was safe, and knowing only this as more of an instinct than a thought, I permitted myself to once more slumber.
Sleeping again already? Letter. Today was quite the day.
We parted ways at the academy at midnight. My very first day of school was eventful, and I could not have wanted for more. I'll say, girl. Well, let's see how Pendleton is today.
Good morning, my lady.
I'm so tired. Please let me sleep in since it's Saturday.
I fear it is not Saturday, but Sunday.
Yes, that's what I... What?
Look here. They've written about you in the morning paper again.
Again? Is there really no other news? Her Majesty's detective solves another exciting case! Oh my! What a lovely headline! And it's about me?
It is. And to see it brings me a great sense of pride in you.
It doesn't feel quite real to me. I thought I might die in there, and now I am here, comfortable in my bed, reading this very paper which details my exploits so distantly.
But the article itself writes that it was Holmes who solved this exciting case. Is that true?
Yes! Holmes was simply amazing! Nearly perfect, in fact.
But look at the back of the newspaper.
Clave MacLeod was arrested and sent to a reformatory on charges of extortion, assault, and possession of narcotics. Huh. He is believed to have had numerous other associates at the academy and is suspected of involvement in the increasing number of thefts within its walls. Additional arrests were made for associates in the slums. Police are currently investigating their ties to multiple unsolved incidents. The doorbell rang.
It's wonderful to see that the case has come to a close without the situation getting any worse. I am pleased as well to report we've recovered a number of stolen goods from the McLeod family home. As a precaution, I should like to ask if you've noticed anything that's gone missing. Did you lose anything in the academy?
Nothing, Inspector. I haven't lost anything. Rather, I feel I've gained something extraordinary from this experience. Even on my first day, my new schoolmates were too kind to me.
I see. That's good. If you'll excuse me then, Miss Whiteley. You've proven to be a worthy detective for Her Majesty.
Thank you. And thank you for stopping by as well, Inspector.
Speaking of, Holmes and Watson visited whilst you were sleeping.
The darlings. How sweet! Why, these are biscuits! My favorite? They were the same brand as the one that had been in my pocket. Oh yeah, we got a good one. We got a good keeper here. Holmes does it again. He only had one bite and still could tell it was McVitie's vanilla cream flavor.
Here are the letters they wrote to accompany your gift.
Oh? What did they say? How was your first day at the academy? I hope you'll have a fantastic time here with us. Watson. Look at Holmes's freaking handwriting. Shoo. Yeah, both boys have very distinct handwriting. Can I, take a screenshot of that? Okay. I was hoping I could, like, record their handwriting, because their handwriting's really nice. And I might need it for evidence later. If you eat too many sweets, you'll grow fatter than a pig. You do well to learn some self-control. Holmes. Pendleton, you should not be approving of this. Maybe Holmes wrote that to butter up my butler.
He really is quite the detective. He's already deduced the side effects of your unfortunate eating habits.
What? I told you that I'm a growing girl. Rather than an early morning Saturday breakfast, I had a late afternoon Sunday breakfast. That was a long sleep. And somehow, I cannot explain how, but certainly somehow, the often dull London cityscape looked much brighter today. Good grief. Just let the girl eat. Yay! We finished that mystery! Moving on to the new one. What's it this time? A most precarious afternoon tea. Alright. As long as someone makes cucumber sandwiches, I'm in. The morning was splendid as it was regular. Yet certainly, despite its regularity, I remained conscious of the things that made it so splendid in the first place. The birds chirping their song, the sun beaming through my window, and most importantly, the exquisite breakfast I had been presented. A stack of fluffy flapjacks, a delectable omelet, a dressed salad. What bliss! Of course, I would be remiss if I neglected the regular sight of Pendleton, ever brimming with sophistication as he poured me a cup of tea.
My lady, I prepared Assam tea for your pleasure today.
Wonderful! Post-breakfast consisted of what I hoped were ladylike sips between reading the morning paper, which was always on the table once I was ready. This time the headline was enough to prompt surprise. Earl Alvin was murdered in his mansion, and the cause of death was via poison in a carafe? Okay. There we go. His lordship was in the midst of drinking water from a carafe when he began to desperately claw at his throat, collapsing only moments later. His death is believed to have been the result of arsenic poisoning. Keeping all the notes. What was my thing about poison? Tetrodotoxin from a blowfish and a cobra's neurotoxin. Okay.
Clever. No one can live without water, unless no one would think to inspect it for poison before consuming it.
If I recall, the Earl was a gourmet, yes? He lived close to Covent Garden Market.
He was. So much so that he earned the name Iron Stomach for the many rare delicacies he sampled from around the globe. He prized cleanliness and displayed the utmost respect towards his food, to where he would wash his hands with an unusual degree of thoroughness before every meal.
That's important. How tragic that his one true passion should take his life.
Yes, the irony certainly speaks volumes.
Still, I was not so struck by the news that my own drinking habits were at pause, as I continued sipping once my cup was refilled.
His tale is further evidence of how dangerous it is to carelessly consume everything one is served. I find myself thinking if it would be best for you to abstain from eating entirely from here on out.
A terrible sense crept from the pit of my stomach. Pendleton's smile did more to unnerve than ease.
For a start, I will forgo serving anything sweet during afternoon tea.
Oh no! How could you? Sweets are my only source of happiness. It's too cruel. And the food you serve wouldn't be dangerous?
True, but you're a particularly gluttonous young lady. Were I to try and kill you, it would be as simple as swatting a fly. Pray, is it worth the risk?
What do you mean? I'm nothing like a bug.
If I were to serve you a highly toxic meal of sautéed mushrooms and potatoes, you would gorge yourself without delay.
I mean, wouldn't we all? I dare say I would not. I know when something's edible. I do!
Well, have no fear. You may be naive of the ways of the world whilst having inherited a great fortune that an ordinary butler would murder to obtain, but I could never do such a thing.
Do you want me to keep you as my butler or not?
I insist that you should keep me. My wish is for you to live a long and healthy life for your parents. I think of it every minute, no, every second of my day.
You don't have to think of it quite that often, but if you must, just try and poison me. I can eat anything and still survive.
I suppose that's one way to live. Now come, it's almost time for school, and I've your carriage waiting for you. Please be certain not to eat any old thing you find on the street or accept food from strangers.
This guy died from water. Water! If someone's really that determined, they'll get you, man. Enough! I'm not that greedy. Gosh. How can he insinuate such things? I'm not a glutton, and I'm far from sheltered. Why, I'm a very sensible woman. Sensible enough to know that a murder so close to here means I ought to inspect my meals before eating them from now on. My! Did you read the paper this morning? It was an honest-to-goodness shock to read Earl Alvin was poisoned. You'd never think it would happen to a man called the Iron Stomach. Perhaps, but obtaining poison isn't as difficult as one might think. You can purchase arsenic if you visit a chemist, and if you're related to farmers in the countryside, they use a number of things to ward off pests. Okay. I'm just gonna make some notes. Just in case. Oh, stop! I don't want to hear it! The entire academy was buzzing with talk of Earl Alvin's unexpected death.
Good morning, Emily. Did you read the paper?
You mean the news about Earl Alvin? Yes, I did.
It's horrible, isn't it? They say it's arsenic. Thought to have been caused by arsenic. Nothing more. Not one shred of detail on his symptoms. Not everyone is a hardened investigator. The specifics wouldn't be the most pleasant read for the average Londoner.
Oh? What happens if you ingest arsenic? My curiosity was piqued.
Symptoms of arsenic poisoning initially include stomach pains, diarrhea, and nausea. After a while, sensory changes can also occur, and in the worst case scenario, death.
Thank you, Holmes. I will add that to my list of poison stuff that I need to know. Thank you.
I have some photographs on my person, incidentally. This one has facial swelling, but that only occurs with acute intoxication. If it were chronic intoxication, the skin becomes more similar to this one.
They're all censored. Oh, Holmes. I guess everyone's got to have a hobby. Holmes spread upon the desk a variety of photographs for all to see. Ah!
This is absolutely horrific.
Fellow schoolmates gathered to browse Holmes's gallery of evidence, only to sour upon first sight. I mean, if you guys are trying to be detectives, you better get used to these sights.
This one here represents paralytic shellfish poisoning. Were it poison from, say, a scallop, paralysis would begin in the lips and face before spreading to the limbs, eventually leading to motor impairment, difficulty breathing, and finally death.
Eek! It's a lovely collection, Holmes. I'm plenty satisfied now.
If it were a clam, you would experience chills, nausea, and dark spotting as a result of blood vessels bursting under the skin, all within 24 to 48 hours. In due time, you'll begin bleeding from both the gums and nasal cavities. In a severe case, this leads to delirium and... Holmes? You've made brilliant work of nauseating the entire room. A picture is worth 1,000 words. In light of the murder, I even thought to gift the classroom with my research materials on poison. And for what? You find it nauseating. Do you think you can learn to distinguish so many symptoms this way? I agree that it's important, but some don't have the stomach for it. Surely you agree, Emily.
Why do I feel like this is going to be a choice? Me? Well, that's simple enough to answer. I gotta go with my boo. Yeah, that's right. I shocked ya. I shocked ya, but I got that heart. None of this is a pleasant sight, to be sure. But in our line of work, it's valuable information that could easily come into play during an emergency. If the victim were still alive, it might even help us diagnose and save them.
What an unexpectedly practical perspective, Miss Whiteley. And you don't appear to be disturbed by the photographs. You have a stronger will than I'd given you credit for.
Wow, thank you. Was this praise? I'm just picturing the guy, you know, from that meme, the guy with the glasses who's gesturing towards a butterfly and is like, is this a pigeon? It's like, was this praise? Holmes, for all his frankness, was still not an easy person to read.
It isn't often you see Holmes doling out compliments. Well done, Emily! Well then, in respect for your enthusiasm, I have more pictures to share with you.
Oh? He was quick to brandish a brand new photograph, and now that he was confident with my company, he readied himself for enthused babble on its disturbing contents. I was sure there would be several more to come. I know I said it was, valuable, but I'm feeling rather, Holmes, however, could no longer hear protests over his lecture. Ah, it was time for lunch. I'm glad my stomach is completely settled. Oh wow, she can still eat. Respect, girl, I salute you. Phew, I'm famished. I planned to ask Watson and Holmes to accompany me to the courtyard, and so I surveyed the room for them, only to be distracted by a dense, unwell air amongst my schoolmates.
Are you going to eat?
Not now. I've lost my appetite.
I certainly can't bring myself to think of food right now. Holmes' display from earlier had left an unfortunate impression that would not soon go away.
I weep for the next generation of detectives. All this fuss over a few photographs. How do they expect to face the real thing at a crime scene? Nonsense. Even I felt a bit queasy when he laid them out on the desk.
My mind wandered to those images again. How funny it was that I suddenly wasn't nearly as eager for lunch as I was moments before.
Best enjoy the sight like a good book, or I'll soon suggest looking into a new career.
Holmes groaned audibly enough for the classroom to hear. He may have had an effect on most, but one particular student remained content to lunch despite him. I don't know who this is. I'm expecting Jack, but maybe it's not Jack.
Ah, the first cup of tea is always the most refreshing, isn't it? My Queen's wear set was the right choice. It suits me perfectly today.
Oh, Miss Marple. Respect, Miss Marple. The girl, seemingly without a care for her surroundings, had placed her teacup on her delicately decorated desk. Between her tableware and tablecloth, she was equipped less for a classroom and more for a canteen. There laid steaming tea, various pristinely sliced sandwiches, scrummy-looking bread, and tartatatan for dessert. I think that's how you say it. More than enough for one lady. Tea poured from a carafe is meant to be cold, but the smell wafting through the room was as sweet as it was warm. It was a small wonder she was able to set it up so quickly. Goodness! I thought the entire room lost their appetite, but far from it with her. I don't know if we were properly introduced. Huh? Oh, she spotted me. Her hair, glossy as spider's silk, was so refined that not a single hair was out of place, and its pale shade made to complement a delicately light, unblemished complexion. I saw her, her uncommonly large eyes made somehow larger by how she stared unblinkingly in my direction, and wondered briefly if I may have been schoolmates with a doll? Oh, I don't like that. Nope. I don't like that. Nope. That's danger. I dared myself to engage her. Hello. I just wanted to tell you that I'm rather impressed with your meal. Do you normally lunch this way?
Yes, I do.
How lovely! I ate in the courtyard yesterday, so I didn't notice. Your maid must be a wonderful cook to make everything look so appetizing.
Not at all. I cook this myself. In fact, I make a habit of baking bread every morning using my grandmother's special recipe.
Incredible! I'm so impressed. All by herself. I had to observe her meal again, now doubly delectable with this new information in mind. Oh, pardon me. I've not properly introduced myself. I'm
our new schoolmate, Miss Emily Whiteley, yes? I've seen you in the morning paper. I hear you're a detective of Her Majesty's also. My name is Sarah Marple.
Where have I heard Marple before? Ah! Yes, you danced expertly in our class on proper etiquette. Now I'm even more impressed.
Do you really think so? I've never met someone so easily impressed with every little thing before. You're a funny girl. If you wouldn't mind, would you like to lunch together?
That is an idea. I took a seat and opened my lunchbox next to Marple's. Well, I probably forgot about the boys. The more I see it, the more mouth-watering your cooking looks. And the tea smells just wonderful.
Thank you. Come now, use this to wipe your hands.
Marple handed me a petite napkin. Thank you.
Here you are, a tomato and cheese sandwich.
She waited till I'd finished wiping my hands properly before handing me some of her food. You're too kind. Oh, it's scrumptious.
And this too, an apricot tart.
Dessert too? You spoil me. Didn't we? It just suddenly occurred to me. Didn't we come to school today being like, I gotta be more careful about what I put into my mouth? And then this girl just gives us a ton of food, and we're like, oh yeah, keep it coming, nom nom nom.
How does it taste?
Mmm, like heaven.
Someone is unusually chipper this morning. What are you doing?
What does it look like? I'm feeding her.
You're feeding her.
She's had a sandwich and dessert already. She's a most fascinating girl. Oh, and why are those cheeks puffing out so much?
Stop! That tickles! I couldn't decide with how she prodded my cheeks if she was being affectionate or cruel. Yet, the two of us eating together appeared to soften the atmosphere of the room in a way that was very much needed. That smell is making me hungry.
The same for me. Shall we eat then?
One after another, the students began to take out their lunchboxes. I suppose Marple's relaxed temperament was infectious.
A bit silly, aren't they? Can't imagine why they thought going hungry was a good idea.
Marple, who had remained expressionless to a polished degree until then, presented the smallest hint of a smile. I rather liked that soft smile.
Well, you don't see that every day. Bit eerie when she does it, though. Pet therapy can do wonders. I'm surprised you know that— Wait a minute! Don't call Emily a pet! I never directly called her anything. At any rate, we should eat as well before the hour is over.
They thought they were speaking in whispers, but I could hear them clear as day.
Ugh, that Holmes and Watson too. They think they can say whatever they please.
Marple, small smile now gone, spared her attention for something out the window. It was subtle, but her manner now struck me as apprehensive. Oh dear. Is something the matter, Marple?
No, nothing.
She sharply turned away from the window, but that same apprehension remained. But— Surprise. Wide eyes came about from my protest, but it did not last. It was seconds later that the manner she tried to hide returned.
I promise, nothing is wrong. Now, would you be so kind as to help me tidy my desk?
Certainly. I'll take the table where— A hard push from behind came right as I was carrying Marple's plates. Oof! Ow, 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 ow! I'd nearly lost my balance, but was able to right myself before dropping anything. Good job, girl. Not so for the one who bumped into me. Sprawled on the floor was a handsome boy with a beautiful head of blonde hair. Though he wore a correct uniform, his spectacles had tilted off from the fall. Is this Lupin? You know, I'm sure I've seen this from him before.
Sorry, Miss Whiteley.
Hello. He was positively frantic, much more than anyone else in his position would have been.
I don't know how I tripped over the corner of the desk. Are you all right?
How shall I answer? I'm right as rain. Right as rain. I'm tougher than I look, see? I presented a cheerful smile before reaching out my hand.
Are you? Well, I suppose as much.
Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize. Are you hurt at all?
Lupin, did you fall and make a mess of things again? Those glasses are much too strong for you, aren't they?
Marple wasted no time with permissions, instead reaching straight for his spectacles.
Please, these are expensive, and I'm quite fond of them, so you can't take them.
I'm only doing this for your benefit. What if you were to fall down the stairs from the second floor and break that fragile neck of yours? Knowing you, you would surely die.
I'll be very careful not to do that. You needn't worry at all, because I'll catch you if that happens. Oh, you're so valiant. I've always admired women like you. Strong, dependable, and kind.
Emily? You are a daughter of House Whiteley, yes? You weren't raised chasing wolves around the countryside.
Your imagination is more wild than my childhood, but it's true I was raised in the countryside. I only returned to London recently. Really? I only came to London when I enrolled in the academy. Ah, did I ever say my name? It's John Lupin. I don't believe so I'm glad you did so now. It's a pleasure, Lupin. And the same to you, Miss Whiteley. Well then, till next time. Lupin adjusted himself before returning to his seat.
Quite a shock to learn you grew up in the countryside as well.
As well? Is it the same for you?
When I was a little girl, yes. I used to bake bread, biscuits, and scones in a massive coal-fired oven together with my grandmother.
That sounds wonderful.
Emily, would you mind joining me after school? I have something I should like your help with.
Not at all, but may I ask where we're going?
That's a secret.
And so she presented a second, more mischievous smile.